We're going to look at learning the Antichrist identity, right? And it's like, oh, well, okay. What was funny is years ago, anybody remember there was a Franz Joseph Strauss? Anybody remember that name? Okay. Ted Armstrong gave Franz Joseph Strauss a shotgun as a gift, right? Anyhow, it was rumored in the Worldwide Church of God that Franz Joseph Strauss was going to be the beast, the 666 guy, right? That was back around 1975. Anybody remember 1975? I got married that year, so I remember it. But anyhow, so John writes about the Antichrist in 1 John 2:18, but John does not give us the identity of the beast person. And that's what most people want to know. Who is it? What's his name? We want to know the name of the beast person, right? Well, in due time, you will know, right? Okay, you see this here? Anybody, who can tell me what this is? Anybody see this? What is it?
Is it your driver's?
It's a driver's license, right? This is my identity card, right? And it has my date of birth, it has my photo when you get up close, right? It has expiration date. Now, what else does it have on this card?
The state.
Identification number.
Numbers, got numbers, yeah? Right? Now, I said date of birth, I said photo, and I said expiration date, and I did, what else it's got?
Your address.
Address, what else has it got?
Organ donor status.
No, it's got my name. It says Ian Hufton. It identifies this photograph as Ian Hufton, right? Okay, in the case of the beast power, God doesn't tell us who it is until he's revealed. Then everybody will know his name, right? But he isn't revealed yet because we haven't gone through all of the countdown steps till we get there. So God has given large amounts of activity identity. Now, if you didn't know Hitler's name, right, but somebody described to you all the things that Hitler did during World War II, right, you'd be able to go, well, I don't know his name, but he's a vile, beastly person destroying Europe, right? And then eventually you'd learn his name. Well, eventually we're going to learn the name of the beast power, right? So, but we don't need it because we can tell who will be the beast by the activities he will be doing, and God has given us a list of the activities that he'll be doing. John called him the Antichrist to come, 1 John 2:18. Little children, it's the last hour, and as you have heard, that the Antichrist is coming. Well, John wrote the book of Revelation, right? So he knew all this description, right? Even now, many Antichrists have come. The Greek definition for Antichrist is simply an opponent of the Messiah. But there are many opponents of the Messiah, but there's only one, the Antichrist, right? Okay, Paul gives a powerful word picture of what to expect. 2 Thessalonians 2:3. Let no one deceive you, for that day Jesus is coming, unless a falling away occur, the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition. Okay, this gives us very little identification information, but the very next verse blows it wide open. Verse 4. Who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God. Now, John wrote this. When God wrote God, what did God know about the beings on the throne in heaven? Who were the beings on the throne in heaven when he wrote God? Jesus and God the Father. That's what God family is, right? So he's saying this person, this beast power person, is going to exalt himself above everything that is called God, above the Father, above Jesus Christ, right, or that is worshipped, so that he sits in the temple or the shrine of God, showing himself to the masses in the world that he is God. Now, anybody ever made a movie like this? Has Steven Spielberg made a movie like this? It's like, would it be believable? It's like, no, No, a human being couldn't do that. With Satan's power, he will do this. Right, so when you see it, you can be sure he will be the Antichrist beast person of Revelation. Right? Now, Muhammad Ali, anybody remember him? I am the greatest, isn't that what he said? Right? And didn't it turn out to be true? For a while, Muhammad Ali was the greatest. Right? Right? So this guy is going to be saying, I am the greatest, I am the beast. No, well, he won't call himself the beast. He'll call himself, I am Jesus Christ returned to planet Earth. So Jesus told us about the false Christ who would come before the true Christ arrives. Now, I've never heard Christian radio broadcasts, I used to listen to them a lot, on this topic. So has anybody ever heard Christian broadcasts teaching about the two more comings of Christ? They preach about one more coming of Jesus Christ, right? But they don't preach about two more comings of Jesus Christ. Jesus preaches about two more comings of Christ. The false Christ first. That's this guy who sits in the temple of the shrine of God, showing himself to the people that he is God, and Satan's doing miracles, right? And people believe miracles. So they're going to go, okay, look at all these miracles. This guy must be Jesus Christ, who's the creator of the universe, and he's come back to rule planet Earth, which is what we want, right? And there's 2 billion Jesus following people right now alive today on the planet. They want Jesus to rule planet Earth, right? And when Jesus comes, will he put people to death, right? The answer is yes. In Battle of Armageddon, they go to fight with Jesus down in Jerusalem, and he puts them to death. So it's a Satan mixed up, fake, false Christ thing, and the first coming of Christ is not what you want. You want the second coming of Christ. Matthew 24:23. If anyone says, this is Jesus 2,000 years ago, this is Jesus giving you a to Christ countdown to the coming of the real true Jesus Christ. He says, if anyone says to you, meaning this is what people will be saying, look, here is the Christ, do not believe it. Right? Well, wait a minute. We long for Christ to come back. So why wouldn't we want to believe that here he is? He's here, right? Okay. Verse 24. For false Christs and false prophets will arise and show great signs and wonders. Spooky stuff from Satan, the devil, if possible, that even some elect or choice servants of Christ might be tricked into believing it. And, I used to ponder about that and think, oh no, the choice servants of Christ, they would never get tricked into stuff like that. Well, 1975, no, it wasn't, it was later than that, the head of the Worldwide Church of God got up and said, you don't have to keep the Sabbath or the holy days anymore. And a whole bunch of people said, yeah, great, I didn't want to do that anyhow, right? And there were no signs and miracles or wonders, they just fell away. Matthew 24:25. See, I have told you before. Now, we have this thing in this country and probably around the world that says, I told you so, right? Don't mothers and fathers say that to their kids? Don't put your hand on the stove, it'll burn you, and it burns them, and then you say, I told you so, right? Okay, Jesus is saying in Matthew 24:25, I have told you before, right? Why? So we can avoid this incredible deception that's coming in the tribulation period. So Scripture tells us that the vast masses will accept this man, this Hitler person, this beast power person, as the real Christ coming to earth as promised. And that's why Jesus told us 2,000 years, this is what they're going to be saying, and I don't want you to have anything to do with suspecting or being curious that it might be. Right? Jesus gets even stronger on this critical point in Matthew 24:26. He says, therefore, if they say to you, look, he's in the desert, right? Do not go out. Right? Now, if somebody said to you, we found the Messiah, he's out in the desert. Come and let's go see. Now, some people would be curious, right? We all like to be curious. Jesus says, don't be curious. Don't go see. Because it ain't me. Right? Forget it. Right? Right? Or look, he's in inner rooms. Do not believe it. So this is the marker Jesus has put down 2,000 years ago about the first coming of a Jesus Christ. And he's saying, have nothing to do with it. But look at the very next verse. That was verse 26. The very next verse says, for as lightning comes out of the east and shines even to the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. Now, hands up if you have ever been outside early in the morning and seen this thing happening. What thing?
Sunrise?
Verse. Yes! Yes! Right? Now, some of your Bibles, right, will say lightning, right? And you have to go, do you mean lightning? Or do you mean the lightning as the eastern sky gets brighter and brighter and brighter? Okay, so then we look at the next few words, and in a lot of Bibles, even New King James, right, in some of them, it'll say, for as the lightning comes out of the east and flashes to the west. And I said to somebody the other day, I said, you ever seen lightning coming out of the east and flashing over to the west? And it's like, yeah, I think I have, flat lines on the light, right? So the translators put flashes in there to enhance this idea of it's a lightning bolt, right? And so what Jesus is, now this translation I gave you in the handout is fairly accurate, because it says, as the lightning comes out of the east, well, every sunny morning, right, you get up early before sunrise and you stand outside and look around, and lo and behold, in the east, and that's how you can tell where the east is, the horizon will begin to lighten, and it lightens in the east, and guess where that lightning ends up? In the west, because the earth is spinning towards the east, right? And eventually the west catches up and becomes the east. Anyhow, it's complicated. So Jesus gives us 4 big clues about this second coming in Revelation 1:7. Right? He says, behold, he is coming with clouds. Where do the clouds normally hang out? Up there, right? That's where clouds are, up, right? So he's coming with clouds. So if they say he's in the desert, guess what? Don't believe it. He's in the inner rooms. No, he's coming with clouds, right? Which is what we rehearse every Feast of Trumpets. He's coming with clouds, and he's going to meet the risen believers, the true believers, the saints. They're going to rise, and they're going to meet him in the clouds. Okay, the next clue is every eye will see him. Well, if it's up there, right? And I wish we could borrow a movie set and reproduce this on film, because it's going to be extremely noisy, right? When you read it, it doesn't sound noisy at all, because you're just reading it and putting it in your head, right? It's going to be extremely noisy, so you can't be in the house walking around getting a cup of coffee and hear all this thunder and lightning and noise outside and not go, oh, I wonder what's going on outside, right? So it's going to be very noisy, and the sun won't be shining when it should be shining, right? And the moon will be turned to blood, and Jesus will be on white horse with all these angels on white horses shining up the sky, right? So every eye will see him. Now note this, here comes clue number 3, even those who pierced him. Well, that's weird. Those who put the spikes through his arms and legs were Roman soldiers. They've been dead for 2,000 years. How are they going to see him? God's going to make sure they do, somehow. I don't know how. Right? And then the 4th clue, all the tribes of the earth will mourn. Well, wait a minute. I thought everybody is excited to have Jesus come back. No, because they will already had the fake Jesus Christ running planet Earth, and they'll all be worshipping the fake Christ, and they'll know if I don't worship the fake Christ, he's going to kill me, right? And then how many of you seen aliens coming out from outer space? Anybody see the movie The 4th of July? That was a good one. I love how they defeated those nasty aliens just with a laptop computer. Man, those things are powerful, I tell you. Anyhow, we've had movie after movie after movie where the aliens come from Mars, or they come from someplace out there in the solar system, and they want to eat us up, or they want to destroy us, or they want to do whatever it is. And what's interesting is the Pentagon, I don't know if you've ever seen or heard this, the Pentagon is now asking some of the major churches to ask their church members, if the Pentagon admits that the unidentified flying objects are not human, i.e. therefore they're from an alien society out in space, how will the Christians react? Well, how do you react? Right? Let's poll you, right? Larry, how do you feel about there's other aliens inhabiting our solar system that we don't know about? That make you feel good? Or do you think somebody else is running the universe?
Somebody else is
running. Yeah, somebody else is running the universe. His name is God the Father and Jesus Christ the Son, right? They're running the universe. So if it could be Satan doing this, right? Satan could do signs and wonders and tricks, right? But if the masses on earth think it's aliens, when Jesus comes down on the white horses, they're going to think he's the aliens coming, because we already got Jesus Christ sitting over there in the temple area. So, everything is turned, twisted, mixed up, turned around. So Jesus starts the book of Revelation with this: blessed and happy is he, this is verse 3, right? Blessed or happy is he who, 1, reads the book of Revelation. Well, I've done that lots of times. Got a headache most of the times I did that, because it's too hard to keep up with the plot and what all's happening. Okay, then the second thing is those who hear the words. And what that really means is understand the words. You've got to understand the words, and you can tie it back to other prophecies and other parts of the Bible, right, of this prophecy. And then the third thing is to keep or to obey those things that are written in the book of Revelation. So the book of Revelation is commandments from God for us to obey. One of the things is, do not accept the mark of the beast, right? Or, if you do, expect God's wrath to be poured out on you, right? So that's a pretty strong reasoning, and that's why he wants to read and understand and obey the book of Revelation. So we need to burn these parts of Revelation into our brains so we can never forget them. It's going to be no good to suddenly, quick, give me a Bible and I'll read the book of Revelation on the day of the abomination of desolation, because you don't have time to assimilate it and to pour through it and to put it in your brain. Right? So Jesus uses Daniel to give 16 verses, not a lot, 16 verses of identity activities regarding the beast of Revelation. These 16 verses start with Daniel 11:21. But the key verse is Daniel 11:31. 31 reads, the forces shall be, and forces shall be mustered by him, the beast power, to take away the daily sacrifices. Now they haven't started. How many of you believe the daily sacrifices are ready to be started? They're just waiting. They're waiting for the right time, right? And place there the abomination of desolation. This will be a huge trauma event, because the sacrifices will be immensely important to the Israeli people. They survived the Arab attack. Okay, the flag. You all know the national anthem, right? Star Spangled Banner. Rockets flying in the air, and is our flag still flying over Fort, whatever it was, McHenry or something, whatever. Okay, So we got the national anthem and we got the national symbol, the flag, right? And essentially the sacrifices, morning and evening sacrifices, will take the Israeli people back to their roots, which is what God commanded them in the Old Testament, right? And now this beast power is going to come along and suddenly wipe that out and put himself in as Jesus Christ, and most of the Jews don't accept the Jesus Christ, right? So verse 31 shows this to be the beast person leader who starts and oversees the tribulation. All right, back to Daniel 11:21. In his place shall rise a vile person. Now, Hitler was a vile person, right? Hitler was a beast. So if God is saying beast of revelation, i.e. Hitler-type person, it makes total sense. Right? Verse 22, for with the force of a flood they shall be swept away from before him and broken. Also the prince, i.e. leader, of the covenant, i.e. covenant people. Right? Because he's going to destroy the leader and the nation of the covenant people, Israel. Verse 23, he shall act deceitfully. He'll come up and be strong with a small number of people. That's important because World War II was started with a small number of people, comparatively. Verse 25, he shall stir up his power and his courage against the king of the south with a great army. In Trumpet 6, there's a 200 million man army, belongs to the beast power, who kills 1/3 of mankind. So it ties right in there. In Daniel 11:28, while turning his heart will be moved against the holy covenant, and so he shall do damage against the holy covenant people. And verse 30, he shall be grieved and rage against the holy covenant and do damage. So this is a kind of a guy. Now, did Hitler like the Jews? No. Did Hitler arrange to torture and kill and murder some 6 million Jews during World War II? Right? Was that satanic? Can we expect that again from the beast power? Is he going to do damage to the holy covenant people? Yes. Will he destroy Israel? Yes. Right? So again, this critical verse 31, he shall stop the daily sacrifices and set up the abominable desolation person. A study of Daniel shows this to be the abominable desolator person, which makes a whole lot more sense than just saying an abomination of desolation, which you have to figure what is all that about. Verse 36, then the king shall do according to his own will. Here's a clincher, ties right into Thessalonians. And he shall exalt and magnify himself above every god. This is a human being magnifying himself above God the Father, above the real Jesus Christ, because he's saying, I am Jesus Christ. So it's like, I've come to rule the world, right? And he shall speak blasphemies against the God of gods. That's God the Father. Verse 37, he shall regard neither the God of his fathers, so it's nothing we've already seen, nor the desire of women, nor the regard of any god, and he shall exalt himself above everything. Right? So when this is on the TV, guess who this is going to be? Right? This is going to be the beast, the abominable desolator, and you will know his name because his name will be everywhere. Verse 38, in their place he shall honor the God of fortresses, and the God of which his fathers did not know, and he shall honor with gold and silver. And thus shall he act with a foreign god, a god that people haven't known and worshipped as a historical mainstream god of worship, i.e. Satan the devil, and he shall acknowledge and advance its glory. So Jesus uses Revelation to make more clear the earlier prophecies through Revelation, verse 4, chapter 13, 4. So they worshiped the dragon, Satan, and who gave authority to the beast, and they worshiped the beast, who is like the beast. Right? So this whole thing is moving to you worship or you die, or you worship or you run and hide in the mountains where people can't find you, or God protects you wherever you are if God decides to do that. So when the beast person comes to power, we will know his name. We don't need to know his name now, right? But when he comes to power, we'll know his name, and we'll know his 666, which is the number of his name, right? But before he comes to power, we have to have a clear picture of his identity by what he will be saying. I am the greatest. I am the God of I'm above all gods, right? And the activities he'll promote, which is hatred towards the Jew and the Jewish people, right? The Antichrist beast person will pretend to be the real Jesus Christ, but will act like Hitler with turbo power from Satan the devil. All the world will accept this Antichrist Jesus impersonator, but Jesus tells us ahead of time, don't believe the wrong